Hi, welcome to Christian's Great Plague Museum. I have a couple artifacts to show you. And number one is a crow's mask, which was often used by the doctors during the Great Plague in Europe to do three things. One, they would use the beak to put roses inside to cover the scent of all the bad smells around, which number two was to keep them from smelling the dead bodies. And of course, number three, it was used as basically a primitive gas mask. And what they believed is that they would be less likely to be breathing in germs as long as they had that on. So due to the fact that all the doctors were constantly around, that's what they used. And actually, there was a fourth thing, which was not really used primarily for anything, but more so as symbolism. And it was called the crow's mask because crows often will feed around dead bodies a lot. So that's why, of course, the crow mask. Many doctors did. And this next artifact we have is a cart, which sadly was used to transport dead bodies from the streets where everybody was living to an area where they could burn the bodies. So it's very sad. And the next thing we have is a door with a red cross on it. And what that symbolizes and represents is that some of the inhabitants of that house and some of the residents are currently fighting the Great Plague, and they have it, and they just want everybody to know that you may want to quarantine that place off and keep your distance from them, even though it's kind of all around, It's just a safe bet to stay away from houses with the red cross on it, because you know that the Great Plague is for sure in there. So the next artifact we have is actually a rat skeleton, and the reason for that is because the method that the disease was spread so quickly and around so much was through rats, which carried the fleas on them. And because Europe's streets were so filthy, London especially, because their streets were so filthy and disgusting, it was a perfect place for rats. Thus, the disease spread very quickly and thoroughly there. So that's that. And the last artifact we have is a mortality rate sheet. And this is what all of the people who kept track of all the deaths and the loss of life, this is what they would write down: the names of the deceased, when they died, of course, how they died, even though at that time they didn't really need to mention a cause because almost all of them were due to the Great Plague. So thank you for visiting my museum.